before I made this discovery, anytime I want to see some live music, I have to go out of town and be surrounded by strangers. And I can't really use any other word to describe this but painful. It was painful to travel out of town and go. Obviously, I was excited to be there, but to travel out of town and go to these shows and stand in line in front of and behind people who were there with their friends or their partners or groups of friends. And I really am trying not to get emotional because, like, the feelings obviously are still very strong, but they were very strong at the time. But, to have this thing that you just love so much and you just have to experience it alone because you don't know anyone who's into it, that has existed up until really recently. The one time that I am kind of able to share this experience with someone, first of all, I mean, I really don't want to rehash it, but I'm gonna because it's important to the story. It was my 23rd birthday, and it was the Zombie Tour, the Devil Wears Prada. They were gonna be in Memphis on my birthday, September 2nd. I want to say 2022. My best friend at the time / former podcast co-host, I asked him, like, hey, what's it gonna take for us to go to, like, a concert together? Because, like, that was really the one thing that I wanted in this life, was to be able to share that experience with someone. I had someone who I thought was my best friend, and, he told me at the time, like, okay, if you buy the ticket, then, like, yeah, I'll go with you. So I was like, slay. And then this show that is on my birthday comes up, and listen, I take my birthday very seriously. I bought a ticket, and he was like, no, I'm not going. And it's like, well, what was the point of that? Finally, after honestly just like begging for I don't know how long, I finally convinced him to go to a show with me. And it's like, well, honestly, it wasn't the best trip I've been on. It's probably in my bottom 20, bottom 10. It was just yet another isolating, lonely experience. And I'm there with, like, other people. It shouldn't feel that way. I'm thinking at the time, to bring it all back to Burning Windsor, when I find that news package, I'm thinking, like, wait, they're from Vicksburg. Where's the music scene in Vicksburg? And I didn't really know where to look. It wasn't easily found. I'm hoping by me doing this and me doing Jackson Underground that it's not as hidden as it used to be, because it did really feel very hidden. I'm looking through the little information that I can find out about Burning Windsor, and I see that they performed in these places all throughout the state and in Memphis, and at this one place in Tupelo that had all these big name bands perform there that had closed. And it's like, any big name band that I'm into or looking at, they skip the state of Mississippi entirely. You'll get a date in Atlanta and a couple dates in Texas, and then maybe Florida, but who wants to go to Florida, right? Who wants to go to Florida? All this to say is that all this at the time just felt so inaccessible to me. And again, it is kind of hard to put into words, but I really wanted to just be able to experience this thing that is really normal, by the way. Going to shows, very normal. Really normal thing to do. Liking this kind of music, also very normal. I've seen the whole gamut of people that are into your heavier or more unconventional metal genres, and it truly, again, the Rainbow Coalition you can find at shows sometimes. Why does it feel this way? Why does it feel so lonely? I don't want to get emotional. Why does it feel so lonely to be into this thing? Like, why? It never felt fair to me. And then I find this news package and I find out, like, oh, there used to be a heavy music scene in Mississippi, now it's gone. It existed in 2010, 15 years ago, and it just evaporated, it disappeared. But then eventually I find out that wasn't the case. It is still here. Very well hidden, unfortunately, but it was still here. And I go to my first show, and the rest is history. Through all of that, I have, and again, this is gonna sound very cornball, but I don't care. I'm embracing my cornball status, all right? It really does feel like I have found a piece of myself that had been missing for so long.